Welcome back, everyone, to this episode of Water Polo Wednesday. Today's episode is, without a doubt, the most special opportunity that we have ever had on our show. Today, we will focus solely on the signing of Dennis Varga by the Los Angeles Athletic Club with an exclusive interview that can only be found here on Water Polo Wednesday. Let's not delay this greatness any longer. Here we go with another epic episode of Water Polo Wednesday. Welcome, everyone, to an unbelievably special opportunity that we have here today. As you've undoubtedly heard, Dennis Varga, who's joining us now, has joined the LA Athletic Club for the final weekend, the championship weekend of National League. Dennis, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to we always like to lead with gratitude, and we want to be sure to thank Ducko, who has helped make this opportunity possible, right? And bringing you and your family over for National League championships in April. Dennis, I'm dying to know, we've been talking for months, and I'm dying to know what was kind of the initiative or genesis of like your decision of this is something I want to go do. Coming out of retirement to play a weekend here in the United States, talk to us about that process for yourself.
I have two noble reasons to do it. First one is I go there with my family during the spring break, which is extremely important to gather some experiences and memories together. And the second one is about water polo, because I still think my biggest and strongest asset is myself. Like I played these 2 decades, and if I could use it for the good of water polo, I want to do it, because I'm a strong believer that the US could single-handedly could and should make this sport big, much bigger than it is now.
And in order to do that, what do you think? I mean, look, you're coming from a professional background. You've played for a number of different teams in multiple countries. What could the U.S. be doing to really truly grow the sport, save the sport, make it a truly global sport, not just a Europe dominated sport?
Well, it's partially up to you. My intention was with this action is to draw attention, and I think we succeeded. I received a lot of messages. People were misinformed that we are moving to America, to Los Angeles
We'd
for
love
the
that, by the
eternity
way.
of time.
If
But
you're open to it, we'd love that. Yeah, sure.
you know, the other thing is, I believe it or not, I have never been 38 and 8 months retired before, so it's a challenge. It is a challenge because although I train daily, I maintain my physics, I mean myself physically, but I avoided water. But now I have to adopt again, because I never turn my back for challenges. Maybe I should have sometimes, but this is really something I'm very involved, because it's all about water polo, right?
Mm-hmm.
So of course, since I go there and participate, I would also like to win.
Mm-hmm.
But my main goal was to draw attention to this sport, because that's the first step I can take on a long road. If I can help build it further, I would happily do so. But this is the first step of this adventure.
Yeah, I love that. Talk to us about what you're most excited about in coming to the States. You were here a few months back, I think, right? Over the summer, post the Olympics. What are you most excited about on this trip? Aside water polo related, I know you're very excited about spending time with your family here, and we're excited that that's happening. And can't wait to meet the
Correct.
kids and your wife. But from a water polo perspective, this is different.
Yes. As you may know, I've been there doing some clinics. Shout out to Water Polo Experience. And my experience was that the US has the potential, not only by the sheer number of kids, but I can tell that they could make it to the top levels. But your system is not ideal. I think
No kidding.
they stuck at a certain point. They
Mm-hmm.
can't improve themselves, or they should do way more work by themselves because there are too many off seasons, as far as I can tell. I'm not sure if I'm correct, but
You're saying
uh,
too many off season, too many breaks.
I mean, yes, I think consistency is key.
Mm-hmm.
So they should never stop because then they have to regain their shape, and you can leave your best shape behind very quickly since we're talking about water polo. We are not only adjusted for the balls and the game itself, but we have to fight against the water, which is an unusual habitat compared to being on dry land, for
Yeah,
example.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it sounds silly, but it's true.
Yeah.
Like it's very, even after a long weekend, treading water is difficult.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just I'm going too far maybe. So I think if it would be adjusted for a complete season from September to June, or as far as I'm concerned, you play during the summer, right? When the proper championship should be, since it's a summer sport. But okay, you have longer summers. Anyway, I think the system should be corrected in a way that these kids can improve day by day, and they would never um, stop. So they would stuck.
Yeah. My host father, Kunz Laszlo, who you knew, used to say to me, Wes, if you take one day off, you will know it. If you take 2 days off, your teammates will know it. And if you take 3 days off, the whole world is going to know that you took 3 days off because you lose it so quickly. So
Correct.
I agree with you there. Um, and that, yeah, it's very insightful. It's great to hear somebody else echo those sentiments. You're coming out here. You're playing for the Los Angeles Athletic Club. You've been to the LA Athletic Club before, yet you stayed there and had dinner way back in August, I believe. You're competing in our National League Championship weekend. This is the largest league we've ever had in the United States, albeit it's only 5 total weekends. That's longer than it's ever been. Talk to us about, like, you know, the play and like what you're hoping to necessarily bring to the team, and like what the mission there is. Obviously it's to win, but like something you're excited about for that weekend in particular.
To be 100% honest, I don't know what to expect because the US water polo is so strange for us in terms of that we play mainly with European teams, right? So
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of unknowns most of the time. But in the last couple of years, since all the best players are playing in Europe, we get to know in them individually better. But that doesn't mean that I will recognize everyone on the other side, which is not the case because also there is a huge age gap between us. So I don't know who's on the other side. Maybe I will recognize five, six players. So from this perspective, from the European perspective, the US was always a black horse with a lot of unknowns.
Yeah.
And we experienced always that they are physically very well prepared.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they lack on certain tactical elements, but I wouldn't even go that far. I would just say, if I compare how we grew up, we spent all our childhood and all those days during summer and out of summer every time
Yeah.
in the pool, and we grew up on legends, and somehow it somehow it came into us, like inherited the knowledge, the mentality, everything which is only possible if there is a culture for it. And so far, USA with this system couldn't develop this sort of phenomenon, this thing which I was just talking about.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I mean, look, you'll have Johnny Hooper, who you played against in the Olympics. You'll have Ryder and Chase Dodd, both Olympians that you guys faced in that final match. Um, and there'll be a number, I believe, of other national team members, both, I mean, from all over the world. You'll have junior team members from Hungary and Italy, and probably national team members from Brazil and potentially Canada as well. So be a lot of hopefully great competition for you. Talk to us about how you're preparing for this one weekend. What goes into this? You've got basically under 2 months, really a month and a half, 6 weeks or so till you're here. What is your, I mean, I think your preparation is invaluable for all of us to learn as you've done this before, right? Because I don't know if we know how to prepare as water polo players here in the States. We know we have to swim a lot. As you said, our fitness is always very good. But talk to us about what that looks like for you, because I think that would be great to understand.
I'm in a completely different situation because I've been through my whole career and I finished, and now all of a sudden I have to play again. But in the last 5 years or so, I had so many injuries and other things that I had to stop for months or at least for weeks that I developed a system, and I basically recognized that if I can maintain my muscles, I can join back much easier.
Mm-hmm.
Even though these are not those specific muscles which control my shot or how I tread the water, because that can only be done in the water, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm able to maintain my muscles, then I can come back much easier.
Yeah.
This is more true for young people, players, but I will see also how I can keep up. I train in a way that not only keeps my muscles fit, but it helps build my cardio.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very intense. It's like 30 to 40 minutes every day on dry land. And since we started negotiating about going there, I started to join trainings in the water,
Mm-hmm.
and it's gonna be much more frequent in the upcoming days and weeks, so that I can reach the best possible shape when I arrive there.
Yeah, I got a call from your team manager, Katona Norby, and he was very excited to see
Yeah,
you back at the pool at
yeah,
Ferencváros. So, of another former teammate
yeah.
of
I
mine. Yeah,
wish I had an opportunity to play a game in Ferencváros. At least
yeah,
we might be able to pull it off, but so far,
yeah, yeah. All right. Um, I want to go to the legends comment because I think that's so important in every sport we have. And when I tell people about you coming over here, people say, well, is this like Messi coming over? Is this guy like the Tom Brady, right? Or, maybe a baseball reference or whatever it is. And I say, yeah, it kind of is, right? Like he's that big of a name. We don't have legends in water polo here for one reason or another. I'm not going to get into the politics of it, but they're not celebrated in the same way because, frankly, we don't really have a professional league yet, right? Who were your legends growing up? Who were the players you kind of modeled your game after as you grew up and started to become more and more successful? And who did you look up to?
you mentioned a couple of names at the beginning. The obvious one is Kashash, because he was the absolute artist of this game, I think.
Yeah.
And one extremely underrated player, Birosh, who you mentioned also.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he didn't get enough credit when he played. Maybe the opponents they paid attention to his shot or to arrive there on him to stop him by trying, but people don't talk about him enough.
Yeah.
So those were my two heroes because I I'm playing on the same position like them. But on the other hand, we had so many legends like Benedek. He passed away, but in a way he's still alive because he left such legacy
Yeah.
that every young player want to follow that path in terms of work ethic and how he managed to focus on every situation. And I remember he was way over 30, maybe 35, and he was able to, I saw the fire,
Hmm.
which I lost a long time ago. But I know that a sport career is going to finish at some point. So
Yeah.
I might as well play as far as I can. But he was able to wind himself up every single time, even on the weakest games. So that was something I admired and wanted to. And also as a coach, he had that fire in him.
Yeah.
So these people were our heroes, and but the list goes on and on because our history in water polo is very, very rich, and we can look up to a number of great legends.
Arguably the greatest country ever in the sport of water polo. You had an opportunity to play with those heroes, Biros Peter, Kasia Tamas, Benedict Tibor in 2008, your single gold medal in Olympic Games.
Yes.
And then I believe you played for Benedict in 2016. He was your coach.
From 13 to 16, yes,
Yeah.
that cycle was his cycle.
What was
Yeah.
that like to go from teammate gold medal winning to then? I mean, I can't even begin to imagine if like Michael Jordan, as I was on a team with like Michael Jordan or like LeBron James. I can't begin to imagine that. But what was that like to then now play for him as a coach? Did the relationship change at all, or what? Like, I mean, he was very fiery, right? As you said, like was he tougher
Yeah,
as a
it's
player or a
softened.
coach? You think he's
It's
softened?
softened, but he was a very focused person, not too many laughs. And when I first joined the national team, I was 16 in
Yeah,
2003,
yeah.
if you can remember. That date really existed 22 years ago. And I saw how he was operating within the team, and he was an absolute leader. And I didn't even dare to call his name if I wanted to ask something. I was waiting him to pay attention and put his eyes on me. Um, but later, of course, it had to soften up a bit. We had to arrive as a team to Beijing to be able to be the team what we were back then.
Mm-hmm.
And then he transitioned to being the assistant coach behind Danish Kamei.
Mm-hmm.
And he put himself too much in the background, which was kind of a waste. But later on, when he became the first coach, the head coach, then he managed to put the same energy into the team as a leader, what he did back when he was a player.
Yeah. It's amazing how inspirational people can be when they lead from the front with that kind of energy and how
Yes,
I imagine it fueled your fire, maybe a
he
little
he
more.
was born to do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was his mission probably.
Yeah. And he did. I mean, he won three gold medals and
Yeah,
I mean
not only that, but
five-time Olympian, Olympic coach. I mean,
yeah,
one of the
and
greatest
the
ever.
influence.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's huge.
With the mindset. I think you have to have that mindset to go as far as he did for as long as he did.
Yes.
Um, I am kind of curious. Who was the toughest player you or goalie you've ever played against?
Well, goalies are they varies because it depends on the day.
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes got stuck with some goalies, but on the next day, I mean,
Yeah,
on the
next time you
next
played.
game,
Sure.
I could manage to do my stuff, and then it was relieving. Players, the tough ones who were stronger than me because I was never so physical. Maybe in my later years, I put more emphasis on going into gym, but before that, I was very underweight for the competition. So anyone who was very physical and wanted to prove that he's stronger, I had a hard time um, doing what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually, I managed most of the times.
Yeah, you've done okay. You've done
So
okay
no
for
one.
yourself. So nobody
It
like
was
stands out.
okay. Yeah.
Very humble about this,
Yeah.
but yeah, okay.
Yeah, man, I've been pretty quiet on this call because I know how special this is for Wes. Not that it's not special for me to be on this interview, but Wes spent a considerable amount of time in Hungary, was really living and breathing the culture there and amongst the greats, and has, like you said, Doomy, been talking to you for quite some time. So I wanted to make sure that, just not getting in the way of that flow. I've only been in, I played for
And the
Kapellskär
questions are good,
for a
so
season.
thank
Yeah,
you.
they're fine questions. If
I've
he's doing
been
a
on
terrible job, I would
podcasts which
stop him
were a waste of time, but
immediately. Yeah,
thanks for having good questions.
I would jump him and save him if he needed saving, but this
Yeah.
has been great. I mean, yeah, like I've been really stuck on like talking to you and other greats in the sport that might have some influence on the development of American water polo. And everyone in Europe is always asking, why is there not a professional league in the United States? It's such a common question, and we're talking about culture, we're talking about heroes and
Yeah.
legends and looking up to people in the sport. I'm a firm believer in that specifically being an element of why we're lacking in the sport. The idea of a hero, and a lot of that having to do with exposure. Kids growing up here are watching TV or on social media, and they're seeing highlight clips of LeBron James, highlight clips of whatever of what a football player is or whoever else it is, and they're just not seeing it. And if you're not seeing it, then you're not really visualizing yourself as that person in Hungary or elsewhere. How important do you think it is to have a mature media presence and to be filming games and getting that tape out there? I imagine that for yourself, watching games was important, and you got a lot of exposure probably just watching games in person. Was film really important to your development as a player?
I think it would be crucial, especially nowadays with everyone developed this TikTok mind, with the attention span of 30 seconds or
Less, yeah,
something like that. So
Five.
yeah.
that's that yeah, that would be enough to watch a highlight, but the highlight is the result of the immense amount of
Of
work
course.
Yeah.
these people put into whatever they're doing. So that should be emphasized more also, because everyone sacrifices. Uh, who reaches the top sacrifice everything. And the opposite very rarely happens. A lot of people sacrifices also everything who eventually don't get there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think maybe that's my perspective. The difference is probably talent, because without having the right amount of talent, um, you're not going to be able to decide the game to your advantage. But without the hard work, you will never reach that point where you would be able to show if you can present the difference, if it makes sense.
Yeah, for sure that makes sense. If you don't work hard, your talent won't really matter. If you and
It
if you're
won't
not
show because you
talented,
don't
yeah,
reach that point where it matters.
yeah,
That's what I meant.
yeah, yeah. I agree. I agree with that. Clay, you got anything else?
Therefore, I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
just don't want to make it sound like talent is everything. Or
No, I
no,
didn't get that
hard
from
work
that
is
response.
everything,
Sure.
because then you reach the highest levels where you can show if you're better than the other. And also, uh, the hardworking, talented person might not be in the mindset at the right moment. So even someone with less talent can win in that
Mm,
exact moment
yeah,
because he's better prepared, which is also part of putting in the hard work.
yeah.
Yep.
Now you've got an older brother who was also pretty successful in his own right. He's now the head coach at OSHA. He played at Vasas believe I met him when I was there at Vasas in 2001.
He
Um,
switched to BVSC, but yes, he
oh, he's a
started in
Bibishe,
OSC. Yeah.
another great club. Um, you guys were both on the 2008 team that won gold. Um, do you what did you learn from him as having an older brother? Right, he's bigger than you, quite a bit bigger than you. Right, like
Taller, yeah.
you're not smaller. You're not smaller in the
I
strength
mean,
size, but
I
he's
said it
taller.
only because we were both very underweight compared to our competitions, but he's significantly taller than me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but back to your question, he was my childhood hero, basically.
Hmm.
He's 4 years older than me, and that 4 years in childhood, from age 8, 10, a lot of differences
It's a big
can
gap.
be
Yeah.
Yep.
developed in that 4 years. So I've always seen him as someone exceptional, and they also compared me to him, which is understandable,
Yeah.
but sometimes it felt bad, like I'm not there yet, and I wanted to reach that level, and the gap was closing, I think. And around that time when we won the gold, we were equally valuable for our teams.
Mm-hmm.
And later on, maybe it switched when we went to Croatia together. We played there 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
and we started with the blank paper as a blank papers. Like I wasn't the younger brother of Daniel anymore,
Yep.
but we were Varga brothers, and
Yep.
I played really good from the get-go because they might have known my name, but they had to adapt to my style. So I was very successful, and I managed to do some tricks which they didn't see before. So from that point on, we kind of switched in performance, but I still admired him as a team leader because he was the captain of the Hungarian national team back in those days.
Mm-hmm.
So we tried to do our best to reach the top again and again, but we couldn't manage to do it on the Olympics, only in the World Championships in 2013, which is also great.
I mean,
But
it's pretty amazing, right?
yes, we had kind of excellent teams both in Rio and London, but we
Yeah,
couldn't pass through the quarterfinals, so we didn't have a chance for the medal.
yeah. Is there a moment or an experience that you look back on and say, you know, this was my favorite, and it may not even be winning a medal, right? It may be maybe something else. Is there something you look back at your career over the last 20 years and say this was my favorite or something to that degree you look most fondly upon?
Uh, I'm very very honored because I have really great memories. If I can think of certain goals, which I feel really sorry that, it's not very popular worldwide. Not even in Hungary, those games were televised, so there is no record of those solutions. I wish I had those because it entertains me also. Like, but result-wise, I know a European Championship doesn't mean anything for an American, but
It does
for
for
us,
water
it's.
polo. It
Well, for
does. Like we
waterfall
see it.
I
people
Yeah,
mean,
that know
I mean
about
that,
it, sure.
yeah. But it is almost equally as important than World Championship. And I failed to win in Budapest twice, 2014 and 2017. And 2020, we had the opportunity to have a European Championship again in Budapest, and I felt so much energy and conviction in myself that we win that at the beginning, when we had the press conference, I had no doubt in us and in myself, basically in myself, because I was able to say that we are here to win this.
hmm
I didn't even care if anyone else believed it. And huge crowd. I mean, in water polo, 8,000 people are huge. I considered huge, I think. And we were at home, and it was the most fantastic experience I've ever had.
Marguerite Island, packed.
No, it was actually in Duna Arena, which is
Oh, okay, the new one.
a covered pool
Yeah.
because it was in end of January, beginning
Okay.
of February, something like that. So it was winter, so it had to be indoor.
Amazing. So that I mean that's pretty special winning it at home in front of a home
Yeah,
crowd like that. That's
yeah.
that's
Is
incredible.
that game
That's the
somewhere
best.
online?
I'm sorry?
Is that game somewhere online for people to go back and experience that
I
within?
think the final is, yeah.
Yeah.
We won against Spain with penalties.
Ooh.
The only thing which could have been even more valuable if we could beat Serbia in the final.
Mm-hmm.
Because although Spain was good back then, but Serbia was still that Serbia,
Yeah.
who couldn't lose any final since 2004 when we beat them in the Olympic final. I think they didn't lose any finals since then.
Wow.
You
But
bring up
you
a
can
really
look it up.
interesting.
Wesley,
Yeah, you
what
bring
do
up.
you think?
Wes-
I know
Wes-
you're good
Wes
in
is the guy.
statistics.
If you're going to ask about statistics, Wes is your guy.
Well, I mean,
We'll pull that up.
Spain's won a few finals.
Not against Serbia,
against-
Not
Serbia?
against
That's the
Serbia,
question.
right? When
No.
Serbia gets
They're
into a
in the
final, they
final.
don't
Yeah.
really lose
Yeah.
very often.
Yeah.
But you bring up something that's really interesting. Historically in water polo, to repeat as gold medal, like to go 2 Olympics in a row and win a gold, was almost never done. Hungary did 3 in a row. You had Croatia winning in 2012 and Serbia winning 2016, 2021, 2020, 2021, and 2024. What do you attribute these long stretches of 12 years, 8 to 12 years where these countries are able to sustain this success
Yeah.
much longer than we've ever seen before?
Well, I think this is also a problem of our sport because it's very concentrated to this area. But we had exceptional team in the 2000s. Serbia had exceptional team also in the 2000 and the 2010s. So it was very hard to beat them. But somehow they kept that generation until 21 and managed to win for the second time. But I think the odds were very low that they're gonna win for the third time with a very new team, new coach. But as soon as the group phase ended, they arrived on to the Olympics and quarterfinals, semifinals. They just cannot be beaten.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how they do it, but they went into the final and I saw the same mentality, the same energy as I've seen before with the Serbian teams, which were much stronger on paper. I hope no one get offended, but I don't care. Anyway, I think
retired.
they
Don't care
didn't have
anymore.
as much chance this time, but they managed to do it. And
Yeah.
this is something which can be coded in their nation or their culture. And it's a very interesting topic because they managed to do it, and it was like, for me, it was a miracle almost.
Yeah, certainly. I mean,
Hats off to
that's
Serbia
for sure. I mean, they lose to Japan in their group, which
and,
Japan was
and
very
us
and Hungary.
and Australia. Yeah.
It's less of a surprise if they lose to you. Like, let's be realistic, right? But losing to Australia, losing to Japan, making it out of the group barely, but that's all you have to do is just make it out of the group.
Yeah.
And you get new life and you say, okay, now,
Yeah.
as you said, they've arrived. You had the opportunity to play, or maybe he had the opportunity to play with you, but the opportunity to play with Dusan Mandic for last season at least. I mean, he was kind of like a big part, arguably the best player in the world the last year or so. What's that like for you to see somebody coming up who's a bit younger like that in Dusan Mandic, who's a real generational type talent? I mean, 6'7" and left-handed. You talk about talent and physical ability. what is that like for you? Were you able to be a mentor to him and see him succeed, or I'd be curious about how you view him and that run and what he's been able to do.
Witnessing this season of Mandic was an extraordinary experience because he was left behind in his own country, in his club, and Ferencváros helped him to do what he did, and they gave him every opportunity to get back into that mindset and into that shape where he can perform his best. And he made it. We've all seen the end result of an angry Mandic. He's unstoppable.
Yeah.
First time I've seen this guy was 2013. There was some junior something in Croatia. At the time I was playing there. And I said, not again, this lefty from Serbia, because I lived my life with Filipovic on the opposite side, and this guy joined the chat, and he was even more, he was even more featureful. I don't know if it's a word in English, but he had more features
Yeah.
because Filipovic, although one of the greats for sure, uh, he never made a drive or played one-on-one against anyone else. But if you want to stop Mandic to shoot from 5 to 6 meter fouls, and you position yourself to one of his shoulders, he will drive. And if he receives a ball, he will score. If he don't receive a goal, you're stuck with Mandic on 2 meters. So good luck with that. And he can
Very
do
special.
backhands, he can do everything. He can do lobs, he can everything.
Yeah.
He's an exceptional blocker, defender. He's the man.
Yeah, I mean the save he made in the Champions League final, coming all the way over his hips to take away a near side shot. I mean, the amount of water he covers is incredible. But this is about you and not him, and so I appreciate
me telling good things about him is also about me. So
yeah, okay.
We're learning about
yeah,
Jamie through
yeah,
his
for
with
sure.
respect. Hey.
Yeah. Aside from water polo, you're coming out to California. Anything exciting that you're looking forward to do? Like socially, are you going to Disneyland? Talk to us about what that plan is for that.
Only
for that
if we
weekend.
win. Only if we win the championship does he go to Disneyland. That's it.
Or if we go to Disneyland, we will win. So
Yeah.
Oh, that's
okay.
okay. Fair.
yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. You could go. Don't please go.
Yeah. Yeah. So anything in particular
well,
you want to do while you're here?
I just want to show the world to my sons. If I have the opportunity to gather um, adventures and memories together. I just said a week ago to someone asking about my retirement and stuff that it was worth to do it for them, water polo, and it was worth to finish water polo for them. Like I just spent time with them. I just watched them doing their stuff, and uh, I'm a strong believer that a man loves to do two things. One is teaching, and the other one is building. And I love to
You just
teach
poked
anything to
Wes's
my
heart
kids.
so hard.
What?
It's Clay.
You couldn't have nailed it even. That's just like that's Wes. That's just perfect. Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't mean
Yeah.
to cut you off. You're in a flow. Sorry.
So
Please keep
if you
going.
want to also put this in the perspective of why I'm going there, we are building something, and this I consider it the first step, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Amazing. Well, we love this, Clay. I mean, I can go all day, but you've been kind enough to spend the last 40 minutes with us here. Clay, any questions that you have before we turn it over to him?
People checked out already, so don't worry.
No, yeah,
I don't think so.
Yeah, if this was live, I mean, we could talk for a very long time, but want to be, as Wes said, respectful of everyone's time. As many legendary athletes go into retirement, do you see yourself entering the world of commentating? Will we be hearing your voice at the Olympics or elsewhere, kind of talking through the game.
Yeah, I have the intention to do it in Hungary, and if I'm good for the job and I don't tell dirty jokes in live television, that they might give me a second chance. So we'll see.
Okay, you can test run those by us first, so we can let you know
Yeah.
where they
Okay.
stand. Yeah, but
Um,
thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, your
Thanks for
candor, your
having me.
honesty, your time here has been truly amazing. We like to open it up at the end. It's a little bit different than most probably interviews you do, but we like to open up and if there's anything you want to share with, our couple hundred viewers here, which will probably increase thanks to you, that you would like to share with the world, we like to say the studio is yours to kind of talk about anything you want to talk about.
Well, it's all about making them join. So please, people, if you like water polo, join us on that weekend and let's make water polo great again.
Oh,
If it ever was, I don't
yeah.
know.
This has been
That'll land with some people, won't land with others. But
Yeah.
I think the message
Message is
is
clear.
undeniable.
Yeah, so everybody, for those of you who are kind of checking this out, April 25th, 26th, and 27th, Denis Varga, nicknamed Dumi, will be playing for the Los Angeles Athletic Club in the National League Championships out at Mount Sac. Be sure to come and check it out. It's going to be an unbelievable environment. If you've never been to the stadium, it's an incredible stadium. A beautiful, beautiful venue. Once again, April 25th, 26th, 27th. Mark your calendars. Entry is free. We want to have as many people there as possible. We'd love to see all of you out there. May get a chance to see this guy play live, which is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, especially now that this will likely be one of the last times he'll ever play in a big event here in the United States. So, Denis, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks
This
for
has
having me.
meant the world to me. I know Shamu Biarush is exceptionally excited to be playing with you. In his words, you've won one gold medal with a Biarush. Time to win a second. And so with that, we'll leave everybody.
Let's
Thank
do
you
it.
again. Yeah, absolutely. Remember, everybody, life is short. Score goals. We'll talk to you
goals.
soon.